look, I think health screenings are important. I think Planned Parenthood probably does some good work. But the reason it's a controversial place is because it's the country's biggest abortion provider, and you're one of the people who run it. And so I just want to know what you think. If you can hear the fetal heartbeat and then it's extinguished, what do you think of that? Is that a big deal or not to you? And if not, why not?
Well, I take seriously all of the healthcare work that we provide at Planned Parenthood. I believe in safe, legal abortion. I believe it's up to each woman and individual.
I know, but what do you think?
So I'm not going to make a judgment.
It's not a matter of how I feel about it coming out intact, but I got to worry about my staff and people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby.
Is there any standard procedure for verifying signs of life?
Well, the thing is,
that doesn't go in a chart.
I mean, the key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Nucatola. I'm the Senior Director of Medical Services for Planned Parenthood Federation of America.
A lot of people want intact hearts these days because they're looking for specific nodes, AV nodes, SA. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them.
And on behalf of all of us at Planned Parenthood Federation of America and our partners at Society of Family Planning, I'd like to welcome you to the North American Forum on Family Planning, as well as the George Taylor Memorial Networking Reception. Now, networking reception. Those of you who have seen me in the last hour have seen that I basically spend this reception running around introducing people to other people, and that's exactly why this meeting was created.
Nice to meet you.
I have an abortion in Arizona.
Wow. Which is
We're supposed to
exactly
introduce
why I
DeShawn.
brought this suggested it over.
Robert Sarkis with Biomass Procurement Services.
Okay.
We do tissue collection.
Oh, sweet.
Good to meet
And they're
you.
looking for Arizona as an area where they might
Right.
be able to
We're based out of the Los Angeles area, like Norwalk, Long Beach, that kind of area.
Okay.
So Devin mentioned you as well as the Planned Parenthood affiliate in Arizona, as well as good connections to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you?
It's been on my mind because I used to work at Planned Parenthood Los Angeles, and we used to have
Novogenics, I think, is the one that comes in, to do it there. Yeah. So you have experience with providing material for these purposes. Yeah.
Due to some things going on at Planned Parenthood, I get a lot of referrals from Planned Parenthood. So I used to be medical director at Planned Parenthood Arizona. That's how I ended up in Arizona.
Okay.
Because I was with Planned Parenthood Los Angeles, and also I was head of academic position at USC. That's how I know Deb Nucatola, because she trained me as a fellow. See, that's how I know Deb Nucatola, because she trained me.
It's good to know that someone is kind of consistently going up to 20 to 24 weeks, because especially when someone wants neural tissue, they're wanting, they want fetal brain, they want both hemispheres, and for whatever reason, like the sweet spot tends to be like 18 to 22 weeks.
Okay. Well, I go up to 24 weeks. There is a practice that kind of preferentially gets the anomaly referrals.
Right. No, we want healthy tissue.
Okay.
Healthy, normative.
Most of the patients that come to me are elective. They present themselves.
And you go electively up to 24 weeks. Okay.
This week coming up, I have a 15-weeker on Tuesday so far, and I have a 20-weeker starting on Thursday so far.
Obviously, some of the parameters that we're working within, tissue needs to be pretty much, pretty intact, because the more physically traumatized it gets, the more the stem cells get kind of mashed up and aren't available for collection.
Now the thing is, I don't do induction, so like my technique is a disarticulation technique. So there would have, we'd have to kind of talk about like exactly what it is that you're needing.
Right.
Because
breech position is great. Just throw that out there.
Part of the issue is it's not a matter of how I feel about it coming out intact, but I got to worry about my staff and people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby. It's not a matter of how I feel about it coming out intact, but I got to worry about my staff and people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby.
A lot of variables going on.
So I don't. So yeah, that becomes an issue.
That's interesting that there's a kind of an issue with the staff to have to kind of protect their comfort level. That's so interesting. I mean, do you ever find yourself in a situation where like it would be easier if this case kind of wants to come out intact, but you are kind of like you have to make sure it doesn't, so the staff doesn't freak out? Or
that's one, and then another issue is Arizona is so conservative. I just don't even want to send a full fetus for cremation or any of that.
Absolutely, just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Right.
We have the people who do our paperwork for the fetal death certificates. They email us calling them babies, baby this, baby that, baby so and so, and I'm like, that's creepy.
Yeah,
they email us calling them babies, baby this, baby that, baby so and so, and I'm like, that's creepy.
Wow. You know your environment. That's it so well. Like very well.
It's creepy. So I mean, there are a lot of variables that come into play. You know, sometimes too, just the patient, the way that they respond to the medication, things
it
happen
just happens.
Than
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that happens.
Are you, no, do you ditch?
Yeah.
Starting when?
20 weeks.
Starting at 20 weeks. Okay. Because that's the other thing, because DIG kind of rules out.
It ruins the integrity of the specimen.
I mean, it kills the stem cells.
I mean, so the thing is, it's really, and then that really is an issue because in Arizona, if the fetus comes out with any signs of life, we're supposed to transport it.
At any gestational age?
Any gestational age.
Is there any standard procedure for verifying signs of life?
Well, the thing is,
that doesn't go in a chart.
I mean, the key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right? The key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right? And because the thing is, the law states you're not supposed to do any maneuvers after the fact to try to cause demise. So it's really tricky.
It sounds like it's really hard to navigate that bad.
Yeah, it's really tricky. So we do, most of the time we do DIG and it usually works. And then we don't have to worry about that because Arizona state law says if there's signs of life, then we're supposed to transport. It's a mess. Research shows that DIG doesn't make the procedure easier in someone who is well trained. But I have to tell you anecdotally, my biceps appreciate when the DIG works.
Really? It's in the biceps when you're doing a D&E?
It does not take me any longer to complete the procedure, but it takes more force.
Really? What is it when you're doing a non-dig D&E? It takes a bit more.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I remember when I was a fellow and I was trained, I was like, oh, I have to hit the gym for this.
You have to go to the gym in order to do it. What age? When does it start? What gestation does it start getting really difficult? Like it is like a workout.
20 weeks.
At 20, that's when it becomes difficult.
It can get difficult.
Wow.
Now, ideally, you want to have the best amount of dilation as possible. So I think, again, it really kind of comes to in someone who's choosing to participate, we might just take a little extra time, to make sure that we have the dilation. And so a little more time on the front end for, a quicker, easier procedure on the back end. If I'm not going to be doing just articulation, which I would normally do. So. Reach makes it a lot easier because but the thing is, there's still going to have to be some decompression of the calvarium for it to come out. So.
Interesting. Because Deb had mentioned to me that if you're there's dilation that happens as the case goes on if you're extracting from breech, and then at the end that if there's you do it enough, and so then the calvarium can come out intact.
So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case goes on, and often the last you can evacuate an intact calvarium.
For the most part, we're going to start the procedure before we get to that point. So it's really like, in order to get you an intact calvarium, if the patient's really going to have to go into labor.
Oh, it's going to have to be essentially a D&E, or essentially an induction.
Yeah, because generally, especially in the breech presentation, everything's going to come out and the head's going to get trapped. That's usually what's going to happen. And so generally, then we just take forceps and, do the rest. So, ideally, you know, the patient would have dilated in the E-face enough that it just all
Right, I mean,
for the most part, in general, unless there's like complete dilation that's going to allow the head to come out, there's going to be some level of decompression on the way out. Even if I had not completely, if I'm not using an instrument to try to do that. But again, in a patient who, you know, is consenting to that, then, you know,
to an induction.
It might take a little bit longer. So I mean, I think it's worthwhile to explore.
Yeah, definitely. Do you, I mean, and we return a portion of our researcher fees to the clinics and private practices that work with us. So, you know, just because, you know, if we're going to come in and do all that, we want to make it worthwhile for you and make sure that it's a partnership that, you know, that benefits everybody. So I mean, so that's all stuff to talk about, kind of how to fit all the pieces together. But I mean, it sounds like
I'm definitely interested. I feel pretty good. I mean, my market share of the abortion services it continues to increase. So
interesting.
It is very interesting to see how it all plays out.
And you go electively up to 24 weeks. Okay.
It's not a matter of how I feel about it coming out intact, but I got to worry about my staff and you know, people's feelings about it coming out looking like a baby. I mean, the key is you need to pay attention to who's in the room, right?
I basically spend this reception running around introducing people to other people, and that's exactly why this meeting was created.